Pink Floyd The Wall is a psychological musical drama based off the album of the same name. Roger Waters and Pink Floyd originally recorded the album in 1979 with the intention of adapting it to the screen. The movie follows a rock star called Pink, who builds a metaphorical wall around himself to divide him from society. The movie explores themes of depression, war, and fascism. The movie was written by Waters and directed by Alan Parker, who had experience directing musicals with Bugsy Malone and Fame. Hey guys, welcome to Garage Movie Reviews, where we explore random movies that are on my mind. Today we're going to be talking about Pink Floyd The Wall. This is the DVD case. There's no title on it, but I promise you inside, it's Pink Floyd The Wall. And let's actually talk about this DVD, because I have some thoughts on the DVD, and we'll jump into the movie after, but I just have some thoughts on the DVD. This is the most frustrating DVD ever. First of all, I don't like the cover. Now, the slipcover has the title on it, but I don't like slipcovers. I usually throw the slipcovers out because they get torn over time and they annoy me. So I take the slipcover off, and it's just this. So, whatever. The thing that annoys me the most is that I place these movies like books. I put them spines facing out. There's no writing on the spine of this. If you look closely, there's no writing. So if I put these movies in alphabetical order in my library, well, guess what? I'm not gonna be able to tell what the fuck this movie is because it's literally just a white line with black stripes on it. That's the least of my complaints with the DVD. The DVD menu is absolute ass. Now I know you guys are like, why is this guy bitching about the DVD menu? So you open the DVD menu, and the song that plays is not even from the album The Wall. They're playing Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the intro of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is from the album Wish You Were Here, not The Wall. They couldn't even get that right. And instead of having the classic icons like play movie, scene selection, features, they decide to put puns instead. So you're there tapping around on your remote control trying to figure out what to click. And guys, I hate it when movies do this. I don't have surround sound, okay? But every movie comes in 5.1. I want to play it in 2.0. But it's only as 5.1. What's the deal with that? I hate it. Whenever I watch a movie, the music will be super loud, and then I have to take it down to like a 40 on my TV, and then all of a sudden the dialogue is super quiet. I need to blast it to 100, and even that's not loud enough. So I'm there constantly having to shift the volume of the movie, and that could have been all avoided if the movie was available as 2.0 sound. Does no one else have this problem in life? Is it just me? Does everyone have surround sound at this point? Maybe I'm just a little late to the game, I don't care. Let's talk about the movie. So this movie is basically the love child of Roger Waters. For those of you who don't know Pink Floyd was this huge psychedelic band who would do prog rock back in the 70s and 80s. And there was a lot of conflict that went on in the band. The two spearheads of the band were David Gilmour and Roger Waters, and they both had kind of different styles that would mesh well together. And The Wall is more of a Roger Waters project, whereas something like Wish You Were Here, that sounded more David Gilmour. So there was a lot of conflict in the band at this time, but this was more Roger Waters' passion project here. And it does feel very personal. The movie follows a rock star, and this alludes, what I'm assuming, to Roger Waters' real life. The movie opens with a dad who's dying at war. The kid, Pink, who's a rock star, lays depressed. It then cuts to his childhood, where he's institutionalized. They're playing that famous, iconic Pink Floyd song, "We don't need no education." And I have to say, I have to give props to whoever plays the school teacher in this segment. I love the performance of the school teacher in this. If you guys listen to the Wall album, you probably noticed a voice that's like, "How could you eat your pudding if you don't eat your meat?
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?"
So over the top, so goofy, I love it. I love the fact that he's like getting bossed around by his wife at home, and that's why he's mean with these children. The movie is not a straightforward narrative, it's more of an abstract film, so you can draw different conclusions from it. This is just about a guy who's a victim of isolation, and what happens when you isolate someone. So you go through his past, you see that he was institutionalized in high school, he was abused by the system, and then we explore his relationship with his mother as they play the song Mother off the album, Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb?
Mama's gonna put all of her fears into you. Mama's gonna keep you right here under her wing.
That song in particular talks about when you're depressed, you just want someone to care for you, because it's hard to care for yourself when you know no one out there will care for you, which is a pretty deep concept. He does that by illustrating his mother as this deep, caring woman that he'll always go to, albeit a bit of a Norman Batesy vibe. Then it cuts to his relationship with his girlfriend. His girlfriend broke up with him and started sleeping with someone else who's like a professor, a philosopher, who's much more interesting than him. Don't worry, Pink. We've all been there. We've all been there. I've been there anyway. I liked that exploration there. I liked how it showed that when you're depressed, you just want someone to care for you, but there's no one there. So it's hard to take care of yourself if no one out there will take care of you. So his relationship with his girlfriend causes him to go for a more cheap solution, where he falls for a quote-unquote dirty woman. He wants a cheap thrill. He just wants a one-night stand where he can feel some human being against him, at least for a little bit. But we soon realize that that's not truly what Pink wants. As he goes into a fit of rage, he destroys his whole apartment down, tears down the walls. No pun intended, I swear. That was no pun intended there. What I like the most about that dirty woman segment, maybe not the most, but kind of just something that made me chuckle, is that there's these girls who are, quote, dirty women and going around sleeping with everyone. And one of the girls runs to a security guard and randomly starts doing the old glup glup, if you know what I mean. And I love the reaction on the security guard's face. He was just like,
Will someone understand?
Pink then feels very expressionless. He feels very numb. He feels like a number in society. He doesn't really understand his purpose, and that's shown through the fact that he shaved his eyebrows. Guys, whenever you see shaving eyebrows in a movie, whether it's an actor who chooses to do that for a performance, or in a film like this that's shown on screen, your eyebrows demonstrate a lot of expression. I would know. I have very thick caterpillars on my forehead, in case you guys didn't realize. And my thick eyebrows can show a lot of expression. Look, right now, I'm angry. I'm angry. And that's exactly what this film was doing, in my perspective anyway. We hear these stories all the time. One that comes to mind is when Albert Brooks played in the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling. He was the villain of that movie, and he shaved his eyebrows for the performance because he just wanted to be very expressionless. And that's what I was reminded of while watching The Wall. After he shaves his eyebrows, he kind of goes through this kind of OD, but we don't really see him take any drugs, but he's basically just unconscious. And people come to rescue his unconscious body. And finally, Pink kind of gets what he wanted. He wanted someone to take care of him, but it's done in the most horrific, agoraphobic, claustrophobic way.
Keep it going, throw the show. Come on, it's time to go. There is no pain, you are receding.
And they cut to his childhood where he's taking care of a rat. And I thought that was a very strong allusion they did there. They cut back and forth between him being hospitalized and then cutting to him as a kid taking care of this rat. And the rat dies. and he just throws it in a river. That just shows to me that Pink is a very broken, damaged person. No amount of care at this point will be able to rescue Pink. All that happens while the song Comfortably Numb, which is one of Pink Floyd's classics, while that plays in the background. He then has a descent into fascism, where he becomes a fascist leader, which the song Run Like Hell plays as that happens. And here Pink is starting to have a voice. He's starting to be heard. This whole time he's alone in isolation, and now ever since he's become a fascist, people start listening to him. People start chanting the same things as him. People do this. It's not Wakanda forever, folks. It's the fascism thing that Pink came up with in Pink Floyd The Wall. After his descent into fascism, he's put on trial, and there's this beautiful animated sequence where different characters of his life, his mother, his girlfriend, his teacher, and finally the judge, they're all portrayed as these animated creatures, and they're all talking to Pink, putting him on trial for all that he's done. It's pretty much the most epic conclusion you can have in a movie. Let's talk about the animation for a bit. The animation in this film is beautiful. It truly is. It has such a different style. Back then, back in the 80s when this movie was made, hand-drawn animation was still the norm. When the Disney Renaissance kind of happened, drawings became a bit more digital, and there's something a little less... It's a little too clean for my liking. Whereas something like this is like just a little dirty. When I watch movies like this, or I forget the name of the movie in English, but La Planète Sauvage is called in French. Those old animated movies, even the old Monty Python movies when they'd have animated sequences, they have such a unique look to it. They feel grainy, they feel rough around the edges. I really like that. And this movie feels very trippy when it does animation. Very sexualized animation as well, which alludes to Pink's need for some kind of affection. One shot in particular that impressed me is a shot where Pink is in his chair and this silhouette, this shadow just comes over Pink, and it's a nice mix of live action and animation, which was common in the time, but it was done very well in this movie. I think this movie truly is a masterpiece, but it's not for everyone. When this movie was first released, it got a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people didn't get it, but it's a very avant-garde movie, which you would expect. Surprisingly enough, Siskel and Ebert both gave this movie a thumbs up, which if you guys are familiar with Siskel and Ebert, usually one will give a thumbs up and one will give a thumbs down. But this was unanimous for them. They both liked this movie, and they both thought it was a very beautifully made film, which I think so as well. Alan Parker, who directed this movie, had a lot of sensibilities when it came to musicals, but apparently Roger Waters didn't really approve of the final product. He didn't really like the final product. Why? I'm not sure. It could be that this was such a passion project for Roger Waters that no director who came in could have brought exactly what's in Roger Waters' mind to life. I think that could be the reason. I thought this was very well made, and had this been just Roger Waters directing and writing and doing everything, it would have been a bit of a clusterfuck in my opinion. No diss on Roger Waters, he's a fantastic musician, but sometimes the sensibilities of making an album or a record, it's not quite the same as making a film. The Wall is not my favorite Pink Floyd album just because of the fact that it's a very musical performance-like album. I like the earlier Pink Floyd stuff more, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here. I liked it more when Pink Floyd was doing that kind of music, but it really works when you see a visual to it. To me, listening to The Wall on its own doesn't really do as much for me as watching the movie and having that imagery. This movie is basically like a long music video. And we've talked about movies that are basically long music videos on this channel before. I talked about Black is King, which was a Beyonce album turned film. And I feel like this one is done more cleverly. The use of animation in this was sparing, but it was very effective. I like the themes that were explored in this, whereas something like Black is King, I just feel like it was very beautiful cinematography, but with not much themes going on. I felt like the album itself had themes, but as far as the visual medium, not as much. This movie does feel very personal to Roger Waters when you watch it. It feels very detailed. You have to think that Roger Waters is Pink in this movie, and he probably faced the same challenges as Pink. This movie is basically a window into the mind of Roger Waters, which is what I like about this movie. Because when you look at the movies that are made about rock stars, they're very flashy, they're very escapist, and even when they do deal with situations like drug addiction, it's done on a very surface level. This is one of the few movies about rock stars where it's truly a dour movie, which made me enjoy it. Watching this movie, I came up with a few movies I wanted to see get the same treatment as Pink Floyd The Wall, just have a visual representation of a concept album. Some of the albums that came into mind are Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. Ziggy Stardust, the album has a narrative much like The Wall. The narrative of that being kind of like this alien who falls to Earth while humanity only has 5 years to live. He teaches everyone to live in harmony, which I feel like that would be a really cool visual as well. If they just took that album and adapted it to a movie, a live action film, that would be something that's truly amazing in my opinion. I feel like a movie that's a straight adaptation of Ziggy Stardust is way more appealing than a biopic about David Bowie, in my opinion. One that's a bit more of a deep cut that I would like to see is Dream Theater's Metropolis. I don't know if any of you guys here are like rock fans, but that's a pretty killer album, and imagine seeing that put to screen. It's such this crazy concept, but the music is pretty... It's got some bangers on that album, if you ask me. I would love to see that adapted to the screen. I would like to see what hip-hop would do, taking a concept album and stretching it over to a narrative film. It has been done with one band. I want to do a review of this movie so bad, but I'm just waiting for the right time. But I would love to talk about Idlewild by Outkast. I love that movie, and I feel like that's kind of what Pink Floyd did with The Wall, Andre 3000 did with Idlewild. That would be for a good garage movie review. I would love to explore that movie. But yeah, concept albums adapted to live action films, I feel like that's a formula for success. And even if it doesn't quite hit, I always find it interesting to watch. Guys, have you seen Pink Floyd The Wall? Comment below, let me know what you think about it. Also, stay tuned, I have a little game, just like how I did it with the polyester video, how I did the scratch and sniff. I'm going to be exploring a piece of internet media, and I'm going to be evaluating it. I don't want to spoil it just yet, just stay tuned. I think this will make for a good video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you around.